Hey everybody, welcome back. Jess here for 3Prong Gaming, and in today's episode we're going to again continue in our behavior tree, and I'm not going to make any promises how far we are going to make it today because I seem to fail every time I say that. So sit back, relax, and let's just get this going. Alright, in the last episode we set this up here in our behavior tree to, well, pretty much just move to office. We got check for employment, that's what we added. We added that task right there. And then once we are a construction worker, we set up some new decorators and got this little sequence here to be able to move to the office. And so now we just need to continue from there. So this may be as far as we're going to get today as this one task. We're going to have to see how it goes. But this assigned work construction, let's open it up right here. And you can see pretty much what it does. Currently, he just goes and gets the construction manager reference, gets the proxies, and picks out the first proxy he finds and goes and works on it. Very inefficient, and that's not what we're going to do. We're going to have to set something else up here. So pretty much, let's just go ahead and delete everything in here. This reference cast, let's go ahead and change this to one of the other ones. Just pick another one right here, because at least for now, we will not need the controller for what we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and delete that. Pull this up into here, and then we can probably just go ahead and delete this controller variable over here as well. Plug in your controlled POM, and as always, correct the name, a reference cast. Okay, we're not going to need this branch. We're not going to need that right there. All right, so, but we'll still need this. We'll still need target location and the destination right there, as well as the finish executes. So what we need to do is there's going to be multiple types of buildings that are going to have employees, right? So we need to be able to assign work to those employees, and trying to keep things as scalable and usable as possible is kind of been the theme of what we've been doing the last several episodes in this AI. So we're going to keep with that theme. We're going to still try to make things as reusable as possible. But this is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to make this reusable in the sense of we can select from the behavior tree like we do, like with the move here, using an enum. Instead, we're gonna make it a little bit more universal, a universal function based off of the buildings themselves. So let's go ahead and jump back out here into the content browser. Go into your blueprints and buildings, and we will need the building master, and we will eventually need the construction office, because that's what we're working with right at this point. So go ahead and open both those up. Let's jump into the building master right now, though. Obviously, the building master is like the godfather. It's the godfather. It's the main one of all our buildings. It's the main parent. It's its main base, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or anything else that we create in the future for the buildings, with the exception of the construction proxy and the ghost building BP, but most notably the construction proxy. And we'll go over that in a little bit different in just a little bit of why we've got to make things just slightly different for construction when it comes to the building master. But because everything derives off of this, let's just go ahead and create a base function in here that all buildings, all children of this will have access to and can overwrite. This function in the building master, at least right at this point, isn't going to have anything special in it. It's just going to lay out primarily the name of the function as well as what we need for the function. So that way, any building that needs to assign an employee a job knows exactly what it needs to do. Everything's universal. So it makes this function a little bit more flexible and makes your future coding a little bit better. So let's go ahead and name this. We'll call this assign employee job. All right, and that's why, remember, words mean something. So job, we're assigning an employee a job, as in the past we were assigning the NPC employment. We're finding employment. Now we're assigning a job. So what do we need for this? We're going to need an input of the employee. We need to know who the employee is. So go ahead and select that. We need to make that an NPC blueprint reference. All right, and that's all we're going to need, at least that in what I know of for right now for the inputs. The outputs, we're going to need a few things here. All right, first one, let's go ahead and call this one job assigned, and we will make this of type Boolean, so that way we know right off the bat if whatever we do in the code here in the children blueprint succeeded or not. It's going to make things a whole lot easier for us. We're going to need another one here. We'll call this one job instance, and because of the construction proxy not being a child of the building master, what we need to do is we need to pass this as an actor. We can't run it as a building master BP, so we just need to run it as an actor. So go ahead and type in actor, which is fine. The inheritance, it doesn't matter what we pass in here as long as it's an actor reference, which pretty much everything's going to be an actor reference unless you're creating your own objects and all that good stuff. So, but everything's pretty much going to be a child of an actor. So we'll have access to everything from there. Okay. And then one last thing we're going to need here is job location. Hit enter, and this needs to be of type vector. Okay. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. It's going to make it so we don't have to cast in the task itself for whatever this job instance is. Okay. But we need this job instance. You'll see how it's laid out a little bit later. And even though I tried to avoid most of this while recording, I don't want to now. Let's go ahead and comment this out. And why is my keyboard not working? Why can't I comment? My keyboard's not working. All right, well, I won't comment that out. But in here in the description, my keyboard works here. I don't know why I can't push C right there. Just put something in here as a description, because this is a universal function. Let's say used to give current employee a new job assignment used by to be overwritten by children BPs. There we go. That'll work. Just something in there so you know what this is all about. Comment. I don't know why I can't comment that. There we go. Oh well. We'll leave it like that. We already wrote a description on there. Compile it and save it. So now all the children have this. Okay. And because the construction office is a child of this building master BP, it will have access and will have the ability to overwrite this. And so let's go ahead and jump into the construction office now. And I didn't save that. Let's go ahead and save that. And in the construction office now, if you come over here and hover over functions, we get this override tab. So go ahead and select that. And in the list, you should see assign employee job. Go ahead and select that. And now we see this. This will pop up. We got a new function in here, assign employee job. But since our parent isn't performing anything, we don't need a parent call to it. We just need to hit that. And as I mentioned, the whole purpose that we set that up in the parent was simply because everything's going to be uniform. And that way when we pass this function on, because this is going to be only used to be called in the behavior tree. So as in that task, in the assign work, we'll rename that. It says assign work construction. We'll rename that. But everything's going to be universal, and we can use this coming off no matter what type of building that we're looking for. Okay. So now what we need to do with this is we need to take this employee, and this might be a little bit redundant, but again, sometimes redundancy isn't a bad thing. Right click in the graph and do employees we need to get the, even though you can't see it over here in the references, it's on the parent, it's on the building master. We need to get employees the array. Okay, so pull off of that and do find item. All right, now what we need to find is we need to make sure that the employee being passed through is even an employee of this building. Okay, so pull off of this and plug it in there. Now, if you look and just hover over this, it says the index that the item was found at, or -1 if not found. Okay, so that's good. We need to run a branch now. Okay, hit B, put that in here. And what we need to check is if this is not equal to -1. Okay, so in other words, like this says, it returns -1 if this employee is not found in the array, returns -1. So we want to make sure that it's returning anything other than -1. You could also do is equal to or greater than 0. That would work just as fine. Not equals to -1. That's a little more descriptive of what this is doing. That's why I chose that. Okay, so now we need to take, and actually we can go ahead and disconnect that because we need to do one more condition check. Grab your current job site. Let's get it and pull off of this and do not equal to null. We just need to make sure that the current job site is not null, meaning that we do have a current job. Okay, so pull off of this. We need to type and. Where is it? There it is. And then plug that in. So we need to make sure that we are an employee of this building and we have a current job. Okay, so if both those conditions are met, then cool, that's exactly what we need. So on the true, we need to actually, we'll go ahead and just plug this into the false, because if not, then we need to return false, and we don't have to return anything in either of these is fine, because if this comes back false, we'll never ask for these in the behavior tree. Okay, but if it's true, what we need to do is grab our current job site. Let's get it. All right, pull off of this, and we need the entrance, get entrance, and then off of this, we need location, get world location right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this return node, Control W up there. Let's just go ahead and plug this in right there. All right, so now if this is true, then a job was assigned. Click yes, true for the job assigned. Now the job instance, now this is why we ask for an actor, which is because of this, because this is actually a proxy right here. And for future jobs, it may not be a building at all. It may be like the forest. Maybe the job site is going to be the forest or a particular tree or something like that they have to go to work on. So that's why we use job instance right here as an actor. And then +2, an actor is what our Blackboard key is. So this will set perfectly in our Blackboard key. Okay. And with that, so now, and then for the job location, it's the entrance right here. So that's what we're passing through, and that's all we need to do for this. All right, so now anytime we create another job for any other type of building, we just come in, we override the function, and we set our own functionality to it to pass this information along to the behavior tree. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and jump back into the assign work construction. Like I said, we're going to rename that in just a couple minutes. All right, so what we need to do now is just go ahead and grab the pawn, drop her in here, and we need to get my profile right there, and then right click, and let's split the struct out, and we need to pull off the my place of employment, right? Because this is you see right there, a building master BP reference. So your place of employment is always going to be a child of the building master BP. So we pull off of this, and that's why we set the function on the building master BP is because of this right here. So we pull off of that and do assign employee job, that function we just created, and it drops everything in here. tells us exactly what we need and what information is going to be returned. So it needs to know the employee, so we just pass the pawn reference into there. Okay. Pull off of this. Let's go ahead and hook in the execution pin right there. All right. Now, what this will return is if this is true, now we need to pull a branch off of here. And we need to check if this was even true. Because if it's not, well, we don't want to have to pull anything off of that. Okay. So if it's not true, then we need to return success false on the finish execute. Okay. So just plug that in right there. But if it's true, well, we just plug right into that. We take the job location, plug it into the target location right there, and the job instance will go into the destination just like so. All right. Simple as that. That's pretty simple, and that makes that function totally reusable. And so now whatever job we have, it's going to pass all this information along, right? So that's exactly what we needed. And of course, that's set to true. So go ahead and compile and save that. Let's go back out here though, and let's rename this assign worker construction. Go into your AI folder and find that T assign work construction. And let's just rename it. Go T underscore assign employee job. Cool. Now it's universal. Everything's saved. It saved itself. And now we need to go back into the behavior tree. Make sure everything's still hooked up, your target location and your destination. Okay. So what we need to check on this now is that we're not busy. We've already got the busy tab up here, but let's go ahead and we're not checking are we busy. We're checking is not busy, right? Because if we're not busy, then we want to go ahead and we're in the office. And actually, let's go ahead and, yeah, we put that up here on the last one. We are at the office. Current location is current location. So if we are at the office, it comes down here. Are we not busy? And really, this decorator could probably be, just drag it and drop it up here. So are we at the office and are we not busy? If that's the case, then we come down here. We got the assign work construction. And let's just go ahead and rename that as well. Actually, no, we can leave that. Assign worker construction job. Yeah, a little bit more descript. Makes the node a little bit bigger, which kind of a pain in the butt. But assign worker construction job. All right, cool. So then it does this, assigns a job, passes true or false. So if it finish executes true, it's going to go to the next branch in the node, which is a simple parallel. And here we've got a has target location. It's just checking to make sure that the target location down here is set. We did this many episodes ago when we first started setting up the AI. And then move to job site is target location, destination, current location. And because we are setting the target location here, we need to have location type none selected. Okay, so make sure that's it. And then we got that. And then report to shift. So what we need to do with this one's actually going to change a little bit as well. So go ahead and open this up. All right. And this is what we got so far. We pretty much just take our current location, pull it from the Blackboard key, cast it to construction proxy, and then we run everything that we need to right there. Really, all that's fine. But remember, like I said, the construction is a little bit different than everything else because the construction proxy is not where we cast right here. It's not a child of the building master. So this has to be separate. And there might be an instance down the road where it's kind of the same thing where we're not going to have a child blueprint of the building master to pass through. So in order to make this function a little bit more universal, let's go ahead and again, let's grab the reference cast with just the pawn. We're not going to need the controller. So save us a little bit of casting calls there. Drop that in. Delete the old one. plug it in, hook up the pawn, and then we can delete this controller reference. If we ever need anything specific from our custom controller, then we will run it. We will add that functionality then. But right at this point, I'm not going to worry about it. So let's add a new variable. Let's call this one job type. Hit enter, and let's make it of occupation type enum. Okay, make it editable, expose it there, compile it. Let's go ahead and drag this in now, get it, and then let's do a switch on occupation type enum. Go ahead and hook up the executions right here. So everything we did here is valid work. Okay, so let's go ahead and not the employment, the construction. Pass that in here. So if we are a construction worker, now it's going to run this branch. So now anything else we add right here will be able to add the specific functionality just for that, to be able to go and do this. This report to shift, this is on the construction proxy, but most likely we're going to end up doing the same function like what we did here on the building master with the assign employee job. We're going to probably make another function. This is a little bit down the road. When we add the next job, we'll probably end up doing that. But I just want to mention ahead of time, we're going to end up doing the same thing, setting up a base function in the building master so all the children have access to it and can override the function to create their own specific functionality. So yeah, that way it's universal. We want to try to keep things as universal as possible. If they're doing the same thing, regardless of where they're at, we need to try to make it as universal as possible so we can expand it, use it, and save ourselves some headache and some confusion and some time. Because let's be honest, coding this stuff, even like this, still takes up a decent amount of time. So that is it for that. Let's go ahead, though, and select all that, comment it, and let's just call this one construction. Did I spell that right? Probably not. All right. And then just move this up and out of the way. So that'll be construction. We're not going to run anything off the unemployment. And we don't need, when we compile it, we don't get any notes or any errors because we didn't run a pin here because, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. If you have unemployment here, we could probably, just to be on the safe side, we could probably do Control W and do this. But the problem with this is it'll fail and you won't debug it that well. So if by not having it there, if by chance you do have unemployment selected here in the behavior tree and we have that set as unemployment, you forget, what will happen is this will jam out. This will never move off of this. You'll see if you watch the behavior tree while it's running, while you're playing the game in the editor, this will just jam out. It'll twitch back and forth between here. It'll be stuck. And then you'll go, well, why is it stuck? You'll go, oh, okay, because I have unemployment set and not construction, so I'll switch to construction. But if we set the finish execute as false onto that node right there, if we did like I had it right there, well, then it'd just say, oh, it failed. And then it'd come back up in the tree and it'd run all this over again. And you would never really know there was a bug. You'd be like, hey, how come it's not working? It should be working. The behavior tree looks like it's working, and it'd just be a little harder to debug. So yeah, that's ultimately what that comes down to right there. And so I think that is actually it. Let's go ahead and rename this as well. Report to shift dash construction. All right, so that way we can just see from a glance, report to shift construction. This is going to be a universal task. Make sure everything's set up. Current target is busy. Construction. And good to go. So that is it for that. So now, all right, we made it further in this episode than I actually anticipated. You know, like I said, I think I'm going to stop telling you how far we're going to get in an episode because you never know until you get into it and actually start doing it. But that's it. That's all the functionality we have. I think in the next episode, we may actually, well, I know in the next episode, we're going to start testing it. And so by testing it, what we'll have to do, what that's going to incorporate is, like I mentioned in the last video, we're going to have to come into the editor. We're going to have to make it to where we can place the construction office in here, because right now, if we run this, he'll never have a job, right? So We'll go V, and he's just going to go and wander the earth. And we can put this out here, but he'll never find a job. He's not going to go work on this, and he won't find a job because, there's no place. This hasn't been constructed yet. Remember, we only after a building has been constructed does it go into the game state and as a property of either a residential building or a place of occupation. And only when it's a place of occupation in the game state will the NPC know that, hey, there's a place to go work. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make it to where in my original one I made it to where we went into the level blueprint and I specifically told the coordinates of where I wanted the building to be. But I'm going to make it, again, I'm going to make it more flexible. I'm just going to make it to where we can drag in the editor right here, put in a construction office. At the start of the game, the level is going to know exactly what's in the world, add it to the appropriate list, and yeah, so we'll worry about that in the next one. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor, go down and hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe while you're down there liking it. And if you want, go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I won't spam your feeds. And yeah, check out one of the videos that might be playing on the screen right about now. And until next time, peace.